Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Tonight I want to talk to you about bargain hunting. We want to find some of the best deals that are on the marketplace using Peak Monsters because that's my favorite site. I still get questions, why do you use Peak Monsters and not some other sites? Because I find the interface is very effective, informative, and that's all I need. So if there's some other site that gives some sort of discount on DEC or something, you know, great. It's not for me. Peak Monsters is where I use, and I've used it for years, so I'm going to keep using it because I know how to use this tool. So with that out of the way, my name is Dwayne and I go by Infidel 1258, and we cover Splinterlands all day every day because it changed my life and I think it could change yours. One of the ways that it changed my life is that I financially have invested in cards that were really inexpensive at one point, and then I hold them until a time when they appreciate. And part of that is understanding that some of the cards are really good, but their price doesn't reflect their power. And there's something, that's a conversation I want to have with you tonight. I want to go through the marketplace and I want to look for some of the best quality monsters for the lowest available prices. And what I'm going to be talking to you about broadly is the idea that you're looking for quality power that can help you win games, and that is going to be really affordable. And that affordable will be a subjective term because not everybody can afford any of these cards, but we're going to look at common, rare, epic, and then legendary in that order. And we'll try to find a couple cards that I think everybody needs to own at every level. And I'll make explanations for why. And we'll talk about the valuation and, you know, is it undervalued? Is it overvalued? Because sometimes a card is overvalued, but you still need it. Sometimes a card is undervalued, and that's a great buy. So we'll explore both of that tonight. Now let's get into it. So first of all, we're looking at common rarity. We log into peakmonsters.com, and we just go over to, on the right-hand side, filters. You can look at common rarity. I'm not going to look at Chaos Legion exclusively because when you're building a deck, you need to think about what the best card is to help you move forward. And whether you're currently new to this game and you have no cards, or whether you've been here for a while and you got lots of cards, you're going to be able to compete in both leagues. I hear a lot of people saying, I'm just going to play in the new league. Don't think like that. Even if all you own is Chaos Legion, you are going to want to battle in the Wild League also, because you will have an opportunity to double your rewards. You'll get some rewards from Modern, you'll get other rewards from Wild. So I'm going to look at all cards from each rarity with a mindset that you want to build the best deck possible. And of course, I want you to build a functional deck that's going to work in Modern, but you also need to be thinking about having utility that you can use within the Wild format, okay? Having said all that, I'm going to try to isolate some Chaos Legion cards that are going to be a great buy. I think we'll find some for sure, but I'm just starting at this now. I'm not coming to this with notes, okay? So, common rarity. Chaos Agent, this is for some reason, like, this is a glitch. This is not 2.8 cents. The cheapest is 35 cents. So I don't know if somebody sold a card earlier that was that cheap or not, but 35 cents to me, this is a hard, like, no thank you. I'm pretty much at the highest levels. I'm interested in this thing, but I do not consider it a deal at 35 cents. I continue to feel that Gargoyle Lion and Pellicor Mercenary are woefully undervalued. Pellicor Bandit also. But you've heard that from me before. You know, you've heard that. Conjurer. I like the Heatsmith. And it's a great price. If you are lacking a tank for red, white, or red, green, white, or neutral, these four have to be your starting point. 100%. There's no excuse for it. You need to, if you're just starting a deck and you don't have a tank for these teams, this is it. The affordability of this, it's so dramatically different. If we just quickly pop over to just fire, Heatsmith is 9 cents. The next closest thing resembling a tank. This is kind of a tank, but it has fewer hit points. So it's not even as good a tank, and it costs more, and it's about 50% more expensive. The Charlock Minotaur or Antoid Platoon are the two closest tanks, and as you can see, they're about 3 times the cost. So then let's quickly go over to blue, not blue, green. Helicore Mercenary, 10 cents per unit. Or you could go and take the Giant Hill Giant, which is about 30% more expensive. And it's not nearly as good. This thing is interesting at higher levels with the stun and the high hit points. I like this card. It's an interesting card for 13 cents. This is a strong consideration for those of you looking to build a Little League deck in your modern format. This is a strong consideration, but it's 30% more expensive than this card. Well, maybe it's closer to 20% more, but either way, it's substantially more. When you say you have to buy 400 copies to go to the max level, times 2 cents is, you know, what is that, $8? It is, right? $8. So Helicore Mercenary, the thing heals itself, by the way, at gold and above. So broken record, I know, you've heard it before, I know, but this is a card that most of you don't own, and you should. And then one more, we'll look at that neutral. Actually, we'll look at white. Helicore Conjurer, 10 cents. What's the next closest tank? Next closest tank, I guess, is probably this one. Yeah, you'd call that a tank. Sure. Yeah, that's a good card. For the price point, this is a very strong card. It's got shield, it's got giant killer, it's got inspire, it's only 6 mana. It's going to do a decent amount of melee. It's got a bunch of armor, and it's got a fair number of hit points. I like this card a lot. For that price, this is one of my strong buys. Chaos Knight, for sure. For sure. But my point is, there are the cheap cards out there, and they've been there for a couple months. If you don't have maxed out on those 4, let's get it guys. Let's get it together. Gargoyle Lion, same thing, 9 cents. It's a world of difference from the next closest real meaningful tank. 45 cents, 5 times, that's a 5x difference. And I would argue that these are very similar, but I'd rather have the Gargoyle Lion. So, okay, let's get into it. Let's move back into just the generic con. That's my rant for tonight about how there are certain reward cards that you currently don't have that you should have. Every starting deck needs them. But looking at more Chaos Legion focus on the common level, I'm not struck. I don't find any. Yes, you're gonna want these 1 cost mana monsters for shields. That's gonna be something. But frankly, all you really need is 1. You don't really need to get 400 copies of a card like this. Having 1 of it is a nice to just throw in there every now and then. I feel the same way about the Carrion Shade. Just when you have an extra mana and you want to fill out that rank and give yourself 1 more meat shield. That's how I feel about that. Same with the Hardy Stone. So these are all cards you're going to want for 10 cents. You're going to want 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Maybe you get it up to the 2nd or 3rd level if there's any sort of abilities. Carrion Shade gets flying at level 3, so that would be nice for those Earthquake batches. You might want to go up to the Void, but really, I wouldn't even say that's super important. A card like this might be helpful. An Equalizer match, because think of that, for when it's an Equalizer, you've got Void, and for 1 cost, you're going to get a proper tank. But I don't love those cards, and those aren't my recommendations. I'm just saying they have some interesting opportunity, like, utility, and for 1 mana cost. Same with all of these guys, right? Same thing. But here we go. Now we're getting into some actual cards that are worth considering. No, even this is interesting as a secondary tank, but I just think it's okay. And especially, you're going to want it at gold or higher. You're not going to want this card in like silver or bronze. Not really. Blinding Reflector. Yeah, I like this card a lot for me because of blind, and I really like blind. But it only has, that's at the highest levels. So I'm going to say it's not very helpful to most people. This one is one you're going to want. First of all, it's got 2 archery damage at the lowest level. That's great. Now they are going to give you these cards to start with in modern format. So you're not going to need, if your goal is to just play with a starter deck at bronze, then of course you don't really need to buy it. You're going to get given it. But, it goes from 4 hit points to 6 hit points in the silver range. Silver goes up to 5. So you're going to get up to 6 hit points. That's 2 hit points, a big difference. And at the highest levels, this thing is quite nasty with the 4 archery. That's a good amount of archery damage for 4 mana cost. I really like that card. And those cards that have no abilities are very interesting because they might be affordable. They're usually particularly affordable, but they also because of the fact that they come in with a good amount of archery damage or melee or whatever, they might not have any abilities, but they have the regular base stats. They're always equally useful when those matches come along where the rule set excludes monster abilities. So a card like this is going to be helpful in those contexts. And for the 11-cent cost, I think it's a very strong archery monster. Hill Giant, I already said, is a good card. So far, 1 for blue, 1 for green. I like this one a lot, the Crypt Beetle. It's got shield right out of the gate. At like medium levels, you get up to 2 melee, and you're gonna have 5 hit points. I really like this on like the back of your team for like a sneak attack defense. And at higher levels, I like it for teams like mine. We're playing in Diamond and Champion. That's gonna be an excellent tank in really low mana matches, or in rule sets where it's like Equalizer, or even in contexts where melee can attack from any position. Super sneak, opportunity attack for everybody, or melee from any position. 3 attack is great, and it's got a good amount of hit points at the highest level. This is a very strong card, and for 13 cents, I'm gonna buy a few right now. Let's buy 25. Okay, so 1 for blue, Kulu Swim Hunter, 1 Hill Giant. What is this? The Hill Giant for green, Crypt Beetle for black. Another one for blue. I like this Cethropod for 13 cents. I really like this. This is another one with no abilities. And so again, it's going to be really functional in those certain rule sets. And especially just for the same reasons the Crypt Beetle works, this one works also. It's got, it's 3 mana. It's got a good amount of attack, a good amount of hit points, especially at the highest levels, making it an excellent tank for those low mana matches, or where you have no monster abilities anyways, or where melee monsters can attack from any position. Those are a lot of the games that we're talking about right there. And we're talking 3 mana is really cheap. I'll add 25 of those to the... Go ahead and buy that. Radiated Brute, no thanks. I find this to be really questionable utility. It does a good amount of damage. It's got Enrage, but the speed takes you, like, you really need to be up here for the speed to be meaningful. And even then, it's pretty fast. It's not fast. So I really think this is a low, and because it's 5 mana, it's not even good. It's not even small enough to fit into the Little League battles. Therefore, I don't like this monster. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm saying I don't like it. Not a deal. I don't like it. Even though it's cheap, it is cheap. And if you needed a secondary tank for your team and you wanted to fill, I'd say that's your use case, and then it makes sense. But in my use case, where I don't need a secondary tank, and if I did need a secondary tank, I'd look for a better one. To me, I don't like this card, not even for 13 cents. I'm not going to buy it. But again, hear me, it's fine. And you should have more fine cards. If you have almost no cards, then you probably need more cards like this. I don't. I hope that makes sense. Cast Knight, let's see. Shield, Giant Killer, Inspire. Yeah, we looked at this one earlier. I like this one a lot, especially at the higher levels. A card like this, especially when melee can happen from any position, you drop these Inspire in there, and you can get this guy with Inspire. You can get, with the white team in the wild format, you could run like 3 different Inspire monsters. Maybe 4. Yeah, 4. I'm thinking of 4 that are on the white team that will all play in the wild format. Your whole team could be inspiring each other, which is crazy. So the amount of melee damage you'd be pumping out, it makes it pretty nasty. And so this is a strong, like, this shouldn't be 13 cents. That's crazy. Even at the lowest levels, it comes out of the gate with 3 shield, 4 hearts, and shield. That's like, Okay, sure, it's 6 mana, but how many times are we playing 30, 40, 50, 99 mana cap games where you just need one more melee monster because, you know, sometimes you can't do archery units, sometimes you can't do magic units. A card like this that has shield, giant killer is really, really amazing these days. There's quite a few monsters that are 10 or higher, therefore it's going to do double. And then the inspire, like I said, yeah, I'm going to buy 25 of those. 25. So let's see how we're doing. Now, what have we said so far? Kulu, Swim Hunter, Giant Killer, or Hill Giant, Crypt Beetles, Tethrapod, that's 4. 1 Chaos Knight, that's 5. The only team we haven't done, we did green, blue, red, black, white. That's all of them. We haven't done dragon, I guess. And, you know, these are fine too. This is a great card. This is actually a fast card. This is an interesting actual secondary tank situation. You know, I was critical of the Radiated Brute. Everything I was critical about with the Radiated Brute is improved with the Flying Squid. Faster speed at the lowest levels. More hit points. Blind and backfire, especially in conjunction with a fast monster. Blind for a fast monster to offer blind is to increase his own life expectancy. This is a strong buy for 15 cents. I don't play water, so I'm not going to buy that one, but it's a strong buy. Venari Scout. Opportunity, which I always love. If you're playing in gold or diamond, I say you need this card. If you're playing a silver or bronze, I say you could maybe do without, because it only goes up to 2 attack at the silver level. Lava Spider, this is to me a very valuable card. Got the poison, the snare. The poison is really why I like it, but that's at the highest levels. If you have Jotun, this is a very important card, and you're going to want it at level 4 or 5. I'm starting to be less interested as we scroll down, which might mean it's time to move on to rare. It doesn't mean I don't like these cards. I like Antoid Platoon a lot. It's got the scavenger at gold levels. It's an interesting kind of low mana cost tank. Riftwing is an amazing card, especially at higher levels. But like I said, I'm trying to suggest to you like the best buys that are out there, you know, for each of the rarities. And we're starting to get up now into like the 20s and 30s and whatnot. So this is a card I think we're all going to want, even though it is getting a little bit expensive. Like I said, sometimes an expensive card is worth the money. And I do think this is worth the money, but I think that price is going to go down. As this card is amazing. It's got Sneak and Life Leech, and the Life Leech is super helpful. But I think that price is going to go down. So, I mean, just hang on. Is this neutral? Is it neutral? It is, isn't it? I'm not so sure. I'm trying to decide, is it going to go down or is it going to stay the same? When you buy a sneak attack monster, you can get it for like 30 cents or less. It's a great deal. But there's so many more packs coming online soon. I'm inclined to say, be patient with this one. And if it was like 7 cents cheaper, I probably would say go, go, go. Like that. So if 5 or 6 cents don't matter to you, that's a great card. Yeah, we're getting expensive now. There's some great cards here, like Scavo Hireling. Everybody needs that card. Deep Lurker does a lot of damage. So yeah, we're now into expensive. I'm gonna move on. Check out the rare. Still the rats, eh? No love. Seedsmith is an amazing monster. This with the vulture, I mean the scavenge and the poison. Ooh, my Naga assassin's going down, down, down. It really is a gold plus monster, isn't it? Because its best speed is at level 5, which is gold. Isn't it? Yeah, it's gold. It's a great card though. 2 mana cost. Great card. Same with Zenith Archer. I mean, this card is objectively worse than Naga Assassin. I guess this one is better because it's neutral in that can make it play with any team. But Naga Assassin can play with any dragon team and match up with any other team. So, I mean, they're both good and I want them both personally. But let's see. I think you need to own the Bonesmith. I think for certain contexts you have to own the rats. I think the Twilight Basilisk is an amazing secondary tank for low mana matches. I really like the Mycelic Infantry, especially for that cost, because at the highest levels it's really jacked up. Shield, Giant Killer, and Rage. This thing could be a beast. Like, it could be doing, with the Enrage, if it was doing, you know, 8 damage and it was Giant Killing, it's going to do double. It can do like 16 hit point or damage per turn. And it's slow. I know it's slow is what one of you might think, but then there's going to be there's going to be a reverse speed rule set. So in certain contexts, you're going to want a slow tank. Okay, so Bonesmith, Basilisk, maybe the Seedsmith and the rats, Mycelic Infantry, Djinn Apprentice for sure at this value, for sure. Get it up to get it up here, at least into the 3 magic range. If you're playing in gold, that Deathblow is going to be really, really a nice addition. You know, contextually, I don't know how effective Deathblow is. Like, I mean, you have to be at a position where your enemy has already lost all their other allies. But maybe in like a picture you're facing off against Kron, and he's in last stand mode. Well, Deathblow is going to be a real helper, right? Deathblow is essentially a llama counter, if you think about it, because there's so many monsters that get dropped on us in conjunction with llama, Scarred Llama, and that last stand mode just turns them into unbeatable. But then here come Djinn Apprentice to the rescue and just silences them. Life Sapper, I think you're going to want. This is another really, really effective low mana cost, high archery damage. Poison, this is to me a very expensive card. To me, Soul Stranger looks like the Haunted Spider, which is a common monster. Look at this thing. Poison at level 4. The Soul Stranger had poison at higher level, but still. Poison and a good amount of archery damage and 3 mana. This is selling for $3.90 per BCX. Mind you, it's beta, it's super old, it's much less total supply. But I think the utility you're getting from the Soul Strangler is very, very meaningful. So I love it. It's a strong recommendation. I already talked a little bit about this one, didn't I? Yeah. For some reason, this common card is popping up. Oh, I see. Because there we go. We're good. We're good. Okay, let me see. Let me get 4 more. 4 more deals. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Exploding Rats, Venari Seedsmith, Venari Bonesmith, Twilight Basilisk, Djinn Apprentice, Mycelic Infantry, Life Sapper. These are all really cheap, by the way. Soul Strangler is getting a... Now we're into 50 cents, so we're starting to get up a little higher. Gavo Firebolt is amazing with the knockout. Yeah, you're going to want that. Everybody's going to want that. Still, Crystal Smith is super undervalued for this price, man. And a tank heal. Ooh, this one, these two. No, actually, just focus. Angelic Mandarin. Triage and Silence. Especially at the highest levels, the thing is going to be necessary. And then Murdali Guardian. Ooh, I can't stop there. Demon Shark is so good. Slip Spawn. There's so many good rare monsters. You need... You sell everything, buy them all. Albarist. Wow, but now we're getting quite expensive already. I knew this card would be expensive on day one. I was like, this thing with the double strike. I'm not telling you to buy it at $1.60. I feel like even though that's kind of cheap compared to like the Axemaster, I still think focus on your summoner first. If you have a max level Sloan, then you need this. If you don't have a max level Sloan, figure your summoner situation out and then come looking for cards like this, okay? Zenith Monk is a card I really like with the heal, the void, the magic reflect, and it's neutral. This is a strong, very strong card. Now, its best ability is its survivability. It heals itself. It has void. It has magic reflect. It's not going to do a ton of damage. It's just going to stay alive and be a nuisance. But that's a great ability. Now, $1.70 is super expensive for something like that. I'd say watch that one and see how the price goes, because maybe when several million more packs come online, especially after January 17th when the general sale begins, these prices will come down because there'll be millions of new packs being opened. So that's all I'm going to say for abilities on these ones. I really find that there's a ton of amazing rare cards. This one is one you're going to really want if you play white. So is the Murdali Guardian, and you need to have... I love this Demon Shark for $1.20 is a really great, amazing tank. Trample, Enrage, Retaliate. And you play that in conjunction with the Broodsmith or Wave Brood or whatever it's called. Where's the Wave Brood? So you do Angelic Mandarin with the Triage. You do Murdali Guardian with the Triage. No, with the Repair. And the tank heal and the strengthen. And then you do I put Demon Shark in the front, like just trampling and enraging and retaliating. And then in the back end, I put that Wave Brood wherever he is. It's Epic, isn't it? Yeah, it's Epic. Wave Brood, there he is. Because the Wave Brood has Taunt. And so it's got a huge amount of hit points. It can survive. And you've got one or two retaliates. A great card. For $4, I think this is a card you need at least one copy of. And I think you're going to do yourself a big favor if you end up getting it up to here where you have 20 copies of it. So that would be $80. Maybe put in a bid and be patient with it. But this is such an important card for blue. And so is Nerissa Tridon, by the way. Such an important card. 3 magic. If you can get it up here to 4, this is such a beefy addition to the blue team. Okay, let's focus on Epic now. We've already moved into Epic. There was a ton of value in the rares, like I pointed out. I gave you lots of examples, but let's get over to Epic now. How are we doing for time? We're up to 30 minutes. Let's try and wrap up in roughly, let's give it 10 minutes. This will be quicker. So Epics. You need to have these. Full, like, just that's it. There's no debating. $1.70 is ridiculous. Okay, so these are must-have cards. If you have those cards, then you can start looking at these other ones. That's how I feel about it. They're double the price. You're talking double the price. Ask yourself, if you're looking for a white magic monster, do you want to pay $1.90 or do you want to pay $2.50? They're totally different. I know you want them both probably, but these new cards are exciting. and people are paying more for them than they should because they're new. So, know that that's in your heart. That's in your heart too. I understand it, and be consciously avoid that little call, that little yearning to buy the new thing, and save yourself some money and buy more cards of good quality cards that are really affordable. I actually don't feel too strongly about this one, or this one. Gem Meteor is quite good at higher levels, especially at higher levels. I don't like it at lower levels. Magia of the Chaos, I like at higher levels. This card is neutral, so it's going to pair with the green Obsidian Magic Buffer. How crazy would it be where 4 turns to 5 with Obsidian, and he's got a press, so he hits, a monster that doesn't attack, and he does 10. This card is very powerful, but it's also very expensive. Well, it's not very expensive. Anything in the $3 range is pretty reasonable for an epic. You only need 46 of it to be maxed out. Dark Spear does a lot of damage at the highest levels, and the stuns are very, very overwhelming. So Dark Spear, Magia of the Chaos, all of the old reward cards. If you have Sloan, you're going to want Prismologist. This Lunacari Mistress is still an excellent card, but it's getting quite expensive, so maybe I wouldn't look to that one right now. Forgotten One is a main tank. As far as I'm concerned, this is a main tank, and if you don't have a main tank for your fire team, this is what you're going to need. Immunity at the lowest level. Retaliate at like the silver level. Piercing is always powerful, and he does a lot of damage. I really like this card. Now, it doesn't have Void, it doesn't have Shield, it doesn't have Void Armor, but I really like this card. It's not cheap though. This card is one of the best cards in Chaos Legion for the green team, but it's super expensive. So you might have missed the boat on this one, but I think this is one of the cards I think will continue to go up in price. Now it'll dip at times, but this will be a card that in the future will be meta defining. That is already beginning to be meta defining. Like Double Strike, Trample, Cripple is just, it's insane. It's insane. And 46 times 10 is $460. That's a lot of money for a main tank, but it isn't. If you look at all of the main tanks from beta, from promo, from alpha, even from reward, you're going to see like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So $460 is pretty reasonable for an amazing hard carry monster. Like, this is an amazing card. One of the best from Chaos Legion. Okay, so that's epic. And now let's finish off with legendary. Legendary. These cards are so cheap. I don't even really like them, but one day they will be way more expensive. Ifrit Rising, I don't really like it. The Fiends, you're going to want one. Just one. All of the Fiends, you're going to want one. Oceanus is, this is one of those cards that you're all going to... Everybody needs to have this card. And I think with these prices, you should be planning your deck such that you have enough of, like, you're planning for the future with cards like this. You buy as many as you plan to need. Like, if you're right now you're playing in silver but you want to be in gold, then buy 6 copies. If one day you want to be in diamond, buy 11 copies. That's how I feel about a card like this, especially for these prices. And yes, the price has been falling. I don't care. One day this price will be ridiculously low and people will say that was $18 because it's too good. Everything about this card is too good. I don't know if I like this one. Zyvax Vool. Flying. Recharge. I don't really like recharge. Close range. Death blow. Yeah, it's interesting, I guess. with the death blow especially, but no, I like the art a lot. I don't like the ability. So for this one, I'm being a bit boring. You're gonna want one Fiend. Jin Oceanus is really amazing. Here's one, Jin Murat. This card is worth way more than $18. The price will keep falling because there's gonna be so much new supply coming, but Void Armor, Knockout, Giant Killer, Magic Reflect, Force Field. At the highest levels, if you play in Diamond, this will be a card that will be meta. If you play in Silver, if you play in Gold, I'll think this card will be meta. If you play in Silver, I think this card will be helpful, but not probably pivotal. And I would say probably the same at Bronze. It's a good card, but it's probably not going to be meta defining at those lower levels. This one, it will be this card is a must-have. You need to have at least one. And I would say if you can get it up to 3 with the blast, you're going to be so glad you did. That blast damage with magic, which cuts beyond through the armor, and it's going to do 3 where it lands and maybe 2 and 2 on either side. Of course, it's expensive in mana cap. It's expensive in dollar value, but it's too good. I like the Legionnaire. Void Armor, Giant Killer, Demoralize, Death Blow. Again, I really like at the highest levels. If you're playing in lower levels, I almost might save my money and use it elsewhere. I haven't even talked about the Lindale. Every one of these legendary monsters, every one of them is important from the Chaos Legion. But I would focus on some of these really inexpensive cards. If I had a few, like $100 to spend, I'd be looking at Oceanus. I'd be looking at getting the appropriate Fiend for whatever Splinter you like to play. I'd be getting Jin Murat, and that would probably be the end of my money. These other, maybe I would get one Chaos Dragon. That's how I feel about that, okay? I love these other cards like Helendale with the Resurrect, the Inspire, the Dispel. Desert Dragon is good, but again, I really only like it at the highest levels because it just has too few hit points. The Giant Killer is where it goes crazy. When that thing gets Giant Killer with Piercing, by the way, and Trample, oh my goodness, that's so killer. It's gonna do 6 damage. It's going to hit a giant. It's going to do 12 damage. That 12 damage is going to be piercing. It's going to trample that thing and go right through the next one. The piercing combination with Giant Killer and Trample is bananas. And Retaliate too. This card is so friggin' amazing at the highest levels. But I mean, Diamond. Level 1, it's just okay. Because it doesn't have piercing, so that 4 melee is going to hit armor and it's going to stop, and it's going to rarely get that trample rolling. You need the piercing, and then even more than that, the Retaliate unlocks a huge new dimension because it's not just when you punch, it's when they punch you that you might retaliate and then trigger a whole new trample. So powerful at Diamond, so powerful. Can I buy one? No. So that's it, guys. That's my bargain hunt. You saw me, I bought a few cards. What did I buy? That tells you what I really, at the core of the core, what I felt was important. Oceanus. What was this called again? About 25 of those. This was the one with like Inspire and 6 mana cost, and it was a good support / off tank. The Cethropod, super affordable, low mana cost tank for the blue team. Beetle, super low cost, super low mana, off tank for the black team. And that's it. Those are the 4 that I bought today. So I love a lot of those cards, as you can see from the long video, and I told you, from item to item, from ability to ability, at silver, bronze, wherever you're playing, I kind of commented on all of them. I still think most of those reward cards you need to focus there first. Forget about chasing the new thing that everybody's talking about. Focus on building your deck, adding value and utility and power as much as you can for the, as fast as you can. And that's going to come in the form of these reward cards that everyone seems to hate. Thank you guys for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.